Hello, welcome to Revenant Reads. I'm Vin, and today I'm just going to show you some of the books that I've acquired over the last few weeks, some of which are new and some of which were used. So the first one that I'm going to show you is actually one that I got last month that I forgot to show in my book haul video. I picked it up used at the bookstore, and that is The Haunting of Alma Fielding, A True Ghost Story by Kate Summerscale. And I do have an interest in horror studies. I love reading also about ghosts. I'm not exactly a believer in ghosts, but I find ghost stories to be fascinating. And from what I understand with this, I believe that this is actually, I've read about this in other books, but essentially we have a case in the 1930s, a girl haunting experience, and this is really where we kind of get the idea of a poltergeist coming in, especially of something like a poltergeist being something almost like supernatural that is an extension of a young woman's volatile emotions, an extension of herself, which has kind of gotten into some areas of popular culture. There's been some horror films that have dealt with that, and that's really what I'm interested in, seeing how the idea of poltergeist developed during this case. So this is a nonfiction book, so I don't know a ton about it, but that's why I picked this one up, and it sounded really interesting. Another one, which I've picked up, so I'm going to try and make a space here that I didn't realize I needed uh, for the books. I picked up Sarah Waters, Tipping the Velvet. I want to read some Sarah Waters this year. I've had my eye out at used book sales and used bookstores, regular bookstores, and I've gotten a decent little collection of Sarah Waters books, in actually pretty good condition. But this is one that I never end up seeing. I don't see it used. I don't see it at the bookstores. So I just went out and ordered this. This is one of her earliest ones. Of course, a lesbian historical fiction. But yeah, I've heard nothing but good stuff about her writing, and she's an author I've been wanting to get into. So I figured I might as well just pull the trigger and order it. Some other books that I ordered and that came in. First, we got this big guy. I am going to be participating in a read along of James Clavell's Shogun for March of the Mammoths, a booktube event in which people read, or at least begin to read, books that are over 800 pages. And this is one that I've always wanted to read. I was hesitant to join the read along group because I had other things that I was planning for March of the Mammoths originally, but I kind of, I like the group. Figured they'd be a good group to read with. I've been wanting to read it anyway, and I also, I'm a middle school teacher, and I teach a unit on Japan, and I'll be teaching that unit while we're reading this, so I figured it's kind of a good mental state in which to do it. And this edition is by Blackstone Publishing. It's a very nice looking edition. You can see the cover there. There's the back. Some art on the inside. Let's see if I can find. So it's certainly a nice edition. I think it'll hold up pretty well. I think it looks fancier than it ultimately is. I mean, there's a lot of glue holding this thing together. So I don't know if it's going to be an heirloom piece that will be passed down for generations. But it was only like $20 on Amazon. So I figured, if I'm going to get a physical copy of this, because I don't have an e-reader, this might as well be the one. So yeah, glad to have this. I'll be diving into this in just about a week or so. In that same order, picked up a few other things. Another March event is Middle Grade March, where people read middle grade. And this one I'd had my eye on. That is The Witchcraft of Salem Village by Shirley Jackson. So she wrote like a children's history of the Salem witch trials. And of course, I like Shirley Jackson. Got The Haunting of Hill House, wrote The Lottery short story, right? We've Always Lived in the Castle. A very, very good, very talented American author. And I thought, who better to kind of take me through the Salem witch trials than Shirley Jackson. So I'm gonna try and read this for middle grade March. And I figured it'd be a good one to, we might be going back to Salem this year, possibly, just as kind of like a family, little short family getaway. So this will come in handy for that, and something I'll be able to give to my kids when they're a little bit older and can read it more easily, because it says ages 6 and up on here. Grades 6 and up. It's not ages. So my son is almost there, so I'll be able to give this to him when he's a little bit older, and he'll be able to learn more about Salem and what happened there. At the bookstore, I picked up this one. First Principles, What America's Founders Learned from the Greeks and Romans and How They Shaped Our Country by Thomas E. Ricks. So I eyed this a while back, and I am currently taking part in a buddy read with Stephanie Cohen and Mark from Book Time with Elvis of the landmark Thucydides, which you can see up there with my bookmark sticking out. And we were chatting on Voxer, and I brought up this book because there were passages in there that I was convinced that America's founding fathers must have been influenced by. And Stephanie had said that she had already picked up a copy of this at one point, so might do a buddy read of this with her at some point. But yeah, seemed like a really interesting topic. I love ancient history, and I love early American history as well, and especially the Revolutionary era. So I'd like to see what influence that had on my nation's founding. So that's why I grabbed that. Found a couple Star Trek books in the used bookstore. I think the rest of these are, all used books that I found. This one I was really excited to find, and that is Star Trek Deep Space Nine, A Stitch in Time by Andrew Robinson, the actor who played Garak. A very interesting Cardassian character. And so the actor wrote this about, I think it's about Garak's past, as far as as far as I understand. But this is one that has been very highly praised among Star Trek readers. They seem to really like this, and I remember reading about it years ago and wanting to get my hands on it. And I always look through, whenever I'm at book sales or used bookstores, I'm always seeing if there's Star Trek books, and I never find this. And it's actually very expensive to buy used online. I mean, you try and get this on Amazon, it's like $80. So I found this for $1 at Goodwill, and I was really excited to find this. So for this year's book trek, this will definitely be the one that I read. So I was really happy to find this. I also found 2 other Star Trek books. We've got 2 William Shatner memoirs. So Star Trek Memories by William Shatner, about his time at the show. This is actually pretty decent condition for this one. And I got a sequel of sorts to that, Star Trek Movie Memories by William Shatner, of course, with help there. But I already mentioned Book Trek. I took part in and kind of helped to spearhead that event last year. Star Trek is one of my favorite pop culture creations to not just watch, but also to read. In addition to being a horror fan, I'm also a big Star Trek fan. It's kind of like my yin and yang when it comes to pop culture entertainment that I consume. So I figured these would be fun. I know Shatner's kind of, has a very outsized ego in a lot of ways. I don't know. I've never read anything by him, but figured this would be fun reading. So glad to find these. Again, both of them also at Goodwill. And all these I actually got at Goodwill. Found Richard Dawkins, The Magic of Reality, How We Know What's Really True. And, Dawkins, of course, is somewhat, I guess, controversial in the way that he goes about criticizing religion. I mean, you can't really criticize his scientific credentials. Those are all pretty solid. Again, it's the other stuff when he kind of injects himself into the discussion. of religion, versus science and religion's place in society. You can certainly have varying thoughts about how he handles that. But I've always found him to be a very accessible and fun writer. And I just thought, why not give this one a chance? Again, this is another one that I got for $1. I picked up also one that I've seen a lot available used, but it's usually in terrible condition. But Cold Mountain by Charles Frazier, the novel of the Civil War. And I'd seen the film version of this with Nicole Kidman. Was it Jude Law? Was he in that? Renee Zellweger, if I'm getting all the actors right. I got a cameo by Jack White as well, playing some music. But I really liked the movie, and I thought the movie was really good. Just remember that epic opening with the Siege of Petersburg and the Battle of the Crater. And I always enjoyed it, so I'm glad that I finally found a decent copy of this book. And I've been wanting to read more historical fiction. So I'm building up a collection of historical fiction that I want to get through, and this is certainly going to be on there. And the last thing I got is just kind of more of a resource for me. I've seen other things of this as well. I think I already have the first edition down in my library. But Eric Foner's Voices of Freedom, documentary history. This is volume 2. And these are just like primary source document, texts about American history. Really more designed for like a college undergrad course. Like American Survey History or something like that. But still something that I like to have accessible to me, something I like to, pick up and read through. Sometimes, I'll be reading a history book that'll quote in part something that is much more extensive in here. So I'll go to here to, read the longer version. So I just like having these things as references inside the library. So yeah, that's quite a few books that I got over the last couple of weeks. I don't think I'm going to be able to make a big stack and, without risking it all falling over here. So if you've read any of those, I'd love to hear your thoughts. And as always, thank you, BookTube.